Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you would indulge me, I'm interested in understanding the concern that Educate Now Nevada presented to us via letter yesterday. And I think in testimony today, I'm not certain I understand what the area of confusion was, as this letter indicates they were trying to clarify. And I don't know if you will allow them to come to the podium to explain the question or not, but as I read it, they're asking about, they say, we recommend that no precinct be legally constituted without parent membership in the organizational team. At least that was their testimony on August 26th. They go on to say that they did not suggest that parents be forced to participate in organizational teams, but I'm not entirely clear of what their concern is here and what they're suggesting, or if anything. Am I making sense? I just want them to answer this kind of.
Very briefly.
Thank you, Senator. You know, frankly, this comes from a comment from the Senator that he made in front of the State Board of Ed in the working session where, under questioning from State Board member Felicia Ortiz, Senator Roberson commented that it would be possible, in his opinion, reading the regs, and I hope I don't misstate what you're saying, Senator, but this is my understanding of what he said, that he thought it would be possible to legally constitute an organizational team without parent representation. We learned further that day that we have 150 schools that don't have PTAs or PTOs. That's a really high proportion. And we further learned that 80% of our focus schools don't have PTAs or PTOs. So given, you know, what I interpreted Senator to say is that it could be possible to have in these low-income areas organizational teams legally constituted without parents. Our reading of the plan, of the consultant's plan, is that this does not work, empowerment does not work without parents. So our suggestion was not let's force parents to be members of the team. We're lawyers, we understand that's not possible. But, you know, in lawyer talk, let's say that a precinct will not be legally constituted unless you have some parent representation on that team. And that was the suggestion to the State Board of Ed. You know, I think as the Senator has pointed out, you vote up and down on these things. But, you know, hopefully the State Board of Ed will look at it. And if I may, Senator, I love the fact that you have a BDR to immunize parents, so maybe we go after that particular issue after that BDR becomes a law and we have the unanimous support of everybody here who wants to see parents legally immunized so that we can have them not fearful of participating on these councils.
And I just want to respond, Sylvia. It is not acceptable to say, well, we can't get any parents, so we're not going to have a precinct, so therefore we're not going to change. That is not acceptable. The principal and the organizational team needs to get parents involved. That's the whole, a large part of the point of this. And so that's not an option. We cannot force parents, but again, the principals, I refuse to accept that there's a single principal in this school district that can't find one or two parents to serve on an organizational team. We need to make this happen. Totally
agreed, and our conversations with principals were exactly what you said. They said exactly what the Senator is saying. We can't conceive of how this would not be the case. You know, so our suggestion was let's just put it in the reg that everybody agrees, at least the high-flying principals that we spoke to said exactly what the Senator is saying.
But I would be concerned that a principal who doesn't want this model might say, well, I couldn't find any principals there. No, so we're not going down that road.
We're on the same wavelength.
Okay.
Okay, so that offers some clarity to me. Yeah, that offers some clarity. It begs the question, speaking to what Senator Atkinson asked about, though, particularly if you have 180 schools that have no PTOs, meaning you have principals right now who can't find an aggregate number of parents to get involved to constitute a PTO, what different approach is now going to be utilized to ensure you have parental involvement on these committees? And I'm not certain if we talked about that. I don't recall necessarily talking about that on the committees, but it is a question, an interesting question. I'd like to hear some level of response to it if we have one.
Well, I mean, certainly the Clark County School District is here, but it's certainly a red flag for us, kind of a huge task of preparatory work that we need to get done before these regulations get in place. Just one idea is that we may deal with this during legislative session in terms of thinking through how we build robust support here in Clark County and elsewhere in Nevada to really finally get to that place of parents being there. And just like the senator said, if a principal can't find somebody, and I'll just paraphrase what one of the principals told us, that principal is not walking the halls, is not talking to their parents, is not receiving those kids when they come in. Our high-flying principals could not conceive of how that could not be happening. So it may be that we have to also look at the rubric for principal performance.
Senator Ford?
Yes.
In the regulations in Section 25D, and that's on page 22 of the regulations, about halfway down the page, says, if no such association exists, the principal of the local school precinct must inform all parents and legal guardians of the opportunity to serve on the organizational team and provide the parents and guardians with information about the responsibilities associated with serving as a member of the organizational team, the manner in which to submit a name to be included on the ballot, the date on which a vote will be taken, and any other relevant information. The principal must post such information on the internet website of the local school precinct and provide the information to the superintendent, who shall post the information on the internet website of the school district. The information must also be made available to any person upon request.
Great.
We can certainly continue to refine this
I
and
stand
come up with
corrected.
great ideas.
No, I stand corrected. We talked about so much over the last year that I didn't remember that particular conversation. So apparently we did talk about what happens in an instance where we can't find a principal where we can't find students. And so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for bringing it back to my attention.
Absolutely.